welcome to episode number 6 of the Associated Wrestling Press's College Wrestling Review. And we'd like to welcome back JJ Johnson. JJ, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Pretty exciting week. I guess we'll go with week 5 for the week that is. You know, different teams start different dates, but we'll just go with week 5. Pretty exciting. A couple of upsets to talk about. Let's first start with the Journeyman A6 Northeast Duels. Is that the correct title for it? I know I used to call it the A6 Journeyman Duels. I didn't even call it the Northeast Duels, but
Sounds about right. We'll go with that.
all right. Couple key upsets. Northern Illinois beating West Virginia. What did you think about that one?
It's a big win. NIU kind of took a couple losses early in the year. They lost to SIU Edwardsville, so for them to come out and have a 3-0 weekend up there and beat a solid team like West Virginia and then turn around and beat Binghamton also, it's a good win for the Huskies. Good weekend.
Speaking of beating Binghamton, Wyoming beat Binghamton as well, correct?
Yeah, Wyoming beat Binghamton, Buffalo, and Old Dominion, and they shut out Buffalo and Binghamton. So they only lost 3 matches total the whole weekend. So, yeah, Coach Branch has got to be definitely pleased with that strong showing as well.
Oh, yeah, having them kids wrestle good. And Flo is doing, don't they cover Wyoming duels now?
Yeah, I think every home duel.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. And they lost Chris Pendleton to Arizona State, and I wouldn't say they lost Jordan Oliver, but Jordan Oliver also went to Arizona State, so that's stealing the Wyoming coaches, but that's pretty cool. Moving on to our next duel, ODU and Purdue. Pretty close one.
Yep, ODU, it came down to the last match. ODU's heavyweight. It used to be a 97-pounder. Jake Henderson got the win for him. Purdue had some big wins during the duel. The 49-pounder Alex Griffin beat Lenny Richardson, who's right around the top 10 guy. I think I have him 9th. And he beat him 8-1, so it wasn't it wasn't like he caught him or something like that. So other than that, I think it was pretty much played out like it was supposed to. The guys that were supposed to win won, but a good showing by Purdue nonetheless.
Yeah, speaking of winning where you're supposed to, the big duel this weekend was Iowa. Well, one of the big duels was Iowa State. Iowa ends up winning 28-8, and you're saying, how the heck do you get 8 points? It's kind of an odd score, I guess. You can get 2 majors, but Kyvan Gadsden ends up getting the fall and going crazy and ends up losing 1 team point, but that match was pretty basic. I mean, not much to it. Everyone won who was supposed to win. Let's see. Oh, where are we? Oklahoma and Rutgers?
Oklahoma-Rutgers, yeah. 2-point duel. Rutgers got the win. But Rutgers All-American Anthony Perotti fell to Justin DeAngelis in a tight match. So big win for DeAngelis, but a big win for Rutgers also, as they go into the Big Ten here. Oklahoma's obviously been one of the top teams every year, pretty much for the entire NCAA history. So that's a big win for them, and it's only going to get tougher for Rutgers, but they got a really good team. I'm excited to see how they compete in the Big Ten.
Yeah, so am I. If someone was, if top or bottom half, you think first year in the Big Ten, their schedule is at home. Their schedule is ridiculous. Every powerhouse in the Big Ten this season, they have to wrestle at home. So I think come tournament time, I think they're going to be a little more prepared than you would expect, only because they're going to be in such a tough environment. Because they have, I think it's Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, and maybe one other team at home. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think they got all the good ones. It's good for New Jersey.
Right?
They should get some good crowds out there.
Yeah, imagine being a recruit too. You're a recruit and they say, hey, come to one of these duels because they're going to bring fans. And those teams that I named, they all travel. Iowa travels, Penn State travels, and Oklahoma or Ohio State, all their fans travel. So that'll be interesting to see them and Maryland introduced to the Big Ten.
Yes, it will. Where were you talking about top half, bottom half? You talking like their lineup?
No, for Big Ten tournament, finishing the
Oh,
top half or the bottom half.
I'd have to look at it. I'd say off the top of my head, right around the middle of the
Okay.
pack. Obviously, you got your Penn State, Iowa, Ohio State, Minnesota, not in that order, but those guys. You got Michigan in there. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they play out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I want to see how Maryland transitions to so much success in the ACC, and then they come over to the Big Ten. See how Kerry McCoy is going to have these kids wrestling. But let's jump to the Cornell versus NC State. Mark Hall and Spino had pretty crazy match.
Mark Gray, yeah, Mark Hall still.
Mark Hall, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think he can make 41 either.
No, sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah, Mark Gray and Spino. So it was kind of back and forth. Spino takes him down, maybe 20 seconds left, ties it up, 6-6. Gray gets to his feet. Spino drops to a leg. Ref counts 5, warns him, like he should. That's the new rule, right? So they get a restart with, I don't know, 10 seconds left. Gray stands up again. Same thing. Drops, gets a 5 count. Warning and a point, which is the rule. There shouldn't be. I mean, it's pretty black and white. It's a 5-second count. If you're still there and not improving, it's a point. So they give Mark Gray the point. NC State's coaches come over and argue. I don't know what they argued. I don't know if they said there was less than 5 seconds when he started counting. That might have been it, but they take it away. Rob Cole comes over, and he's like, you can't, and this is me just kind of reading his lips as I could see it through the camera. He's saying, you can't take the point away once you made the call. Right. And apparently the ref said, yeah, I can. And he just kind of rolled his eyes and walked away. Ends up, Gray catches him, pancakes him, whips him over for a takedown with about 5 seconds left in overtime. So he won, didn't cost him the match. But just an interesting situation to see how the new rule plays out. This is the first time I've seen a situation like that. So I don't know moving forward if it's going to be – I mean, it shouldn't be a judgment thing. It's if you drop down, it's a 5 count. I don't know. How do you see that rule playing out?
Well, the thing is they're not consistent with it. When people – you come up to your feet, you drop to an ankle, and they give you – there's like a grace period that I've seen from a couple tournaments and a couple duels that I've been to. They wait, 3 or 4 seconds, and then they count to 5. So realistically, why don't you just start by counting to 10 right when you drop to the ankle, if that's what you're going to do, if you're going to give them a grace period. But they're not consistent with it. Some refs will start counting, and some refs will just let it go. And then when, of course, the coaches are screaming, that's stalling, start counting. Then they start counting. So I just think there needs to be consistency across the board with it because, I mean, if we're going to make wrestling better, it needs to be consistent.
Yeah, and in that situation, I don't think, depending on the ref, I don't think a lot of refs want to make the call that changes the match. Some refs do. But in that instance, if he makes that call, kid loses. And I think maybe the side ref didn't want that to happen, but that's not how it should be. It's black and white. If it happens in the first minute of the match or the last 10 seconds of the match, that's the rule.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
One thing that I've noticed is the backing up right off the whistle. Who was I watching last night? I can't think of who it was, but they were up 3-2 and just played the out-of-bounds line. Never got hit for stalling. It's like there's no consistency with stall calls. I think they need to have a set format. Now, when you say, so he drops to the ankle, what if, now here's a situation that I saw in the Michigan State-Iowa State duel. John Rascala is known for throwing legs.
Yeah.
So Iowa State comes up to his feet. John Rascala throws legs. They call stalemate. Go back down. John Rascala throws the legs. Iowa State stands up. Ref says stalemate again. They do it again. It like 3 times. And finally the ref hits the bottom man. How do you feel about that?
Did Rascala put a leg in and then he stood up?
Yeah.
I think that's the call. If he stands up and then Rascala puts the leg in and he can't return him, that's on John. If he puts the leg in and the kid stands up to get that break, then that's on the bottom guy.
All right, I'll beg to differ with that. I just
I'm
think that's
not saying it's right. That's the rule.
No,
So,
I know that's the rule, and I just wanted to get your take because
right.
because I don't know, it's kind of a stalling tactic to me. If what are you gonna do? I would never stay down there if I not like a lot of people can stand up once someone gets the legs, and that's pretty tough to do. But
yeah.
And on the topic of rule changes, were you able to catch the All-Star Classic?
Yeah, I saw it.
Did you see the? I think it was Schiller and Jaden Cox. When you bring them back up to their feet, if you go out of bounds and the top man is in control, then you can choose to come up to your feet with 1 point and give your opponent or don't give your opponent the 1 point.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a fan. Yeah,
I think that would be pretty cool.
I think it's the bottom guy shouldn't be rewarded for you letting him go. He's got to earn that point.
Very true. That's exactly how I see it too.
It keeps more action going. So, yeah, I like the rule. I hope they put it in.
I'm with you. Yeah, I was excited when I saw that. I was like, I hope they keep this up. And then the Michigan State Open was the next day. When I went to the Michigan State Open and I asked the ref, "You guys doing those experimental rules?" And they were like, "No."
Yeah.
If they're gonna do them, why only do them in the one duel? Why not do them in opens?
Yeah, I mean, well, those matches count, so that's probably why. But yeah, maybe it's something down the line that they'll throw in. Hopefully.
Yeah. Speaking of, where I was going. Oh, opens, and them counting. So we'll first get to Lehigh and Illinois. So Zane Richards doesn't wrestle.
Zane Richards has not wrestled in the lineup.
Yes, but he's wrestling in opens.
He is, and at the MSU Open, he didn't have an Illinois singlet. He had like a team Illinois singlet, like a high school singlet, and then he wrestled at the Parisi Open unattached also. So I don't know what the situation there is. I don't know if there's. I don't want to make any speculations and be wrong, but I think you might be looking at a second semester return to the lineup.
Okay. Yeah, because that's interesting that he's not wrestling, but you said opens count, so I mean he's out there wrestling in opens and
yeah, and those matches will count on his record when he comes back. So same thing with Tyler Small from Kent State at 41. He's going to be back second semester. And I think there's a couple other guys in that situation too. So
Kent State, they've been up and down. Michigan State beat them like 35 to something, and then 2 weeks later, Kent State. Well, keep in mind, Ian Miller wasn't wrestling, but
and their 97-pounder was out, who's pretty tough too.
Okay, but yeah, and then they drop out of the rankings for a week, and then the week after that, they come back and they're 20th again. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on there? But keep it on topic with the Lehigh, Illinois. Delgado didn't wrestle either.
Yeah, I don't know what his situation is. He wrestled. They had the Illini quad 2 weeks ago. He wrestled 2 out of the 3 duels. Hasn't been back.
Okay.
So he got dinged up or something. Is making a slow return. But I mean, they lost the duel by 9 points, and they didn't have anyone at 25 to throw out there. So you got to think that he's going to win that match if he's in there.
Right. So there's your swing right there.
It's the decision. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Any other good matches that you want to talk about for that duel for the Lehigh, Illinois?
Randy Cruz stuck Steve Rodriguez at 41, cradled him up.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
And then in the Northwestern duel, he stuck Jamison Oster also, who's right around the top 20, beat Zach Horan this year. So he had a good weekend.
Sticking 2 top 20 guys, I would take that.
Yeah. Oh, and then Isaiah Martinez put up another 25 spot, I think. He's just scoring points like crazy. One match he scored like 30, something like that. So he's going to be fun to watch.
I'm trying to think of. I was watching the duels with, do you know the Lion twins, Brennan and Chris? we were talking same thing. If you text would go by so much easier if you had that rule. Just take them down, go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Matches would be like freestyle. You just
Yeah, sort of.
that's like the Ohio Tournament of Champions. You ever wrestled in that?
I did 3-minute periods.
Yeah, and that's just a takedown show too, isn't it?
Yeah, you go out of bounds, start you back up. If there's not a lot going on, start you back up. Yep.
So what this is kind of off topic, but what are your thoughts on because USA competing in international competition is kind of, I wouldn't say a joke right now, but they're obviously a level behind. So us wrestling folk style for all these years is kind of hurting us. What do you think?
I think we've got some of the best guys in the world, and I don't know if the folk style. I'm not well versed enough in that to make an educated opinion. I think that those guys have a much better opinion than I, the charge over there. And I think if they thought it was really that detrimental, then they would do something about it. But I think there's a difference in philosophy from those other countries, which is what people are starting to see, and maybe change the training at the younger ages, and not having them compete as much, but focus on becoming athletes. And you see the base training stuff with Herbert and Rovat that they're doing, which is I think it's a great concept. In the kids club that I help out with Coach Bulliard at Eastern, we do the same type of stuff. Hand or cartwheels, head springs, just trying to make them athletes rather than stressing winning now. And down the road, that stuff's going to pay off. Kind of like a Gabe Dean, who maybe was just becoming an athlete, and then he gets to college and he flips the switch because he's not concerned with losing. He's just trying to go out there and score points, and it's not the end of the world if he loses a match, which might be where we lose some of those kids along the way because they get a little over caught up in some of that stuff. But I mean, as far as the Team USA, back to the original question, I think I went on like 5 tangents there. I don't think the folk style is hurting us.
Okay.
Because Jordan Burroughs never wrestled freestyle and then he won the world championship. I mean, he's also one of the best athletes on the planet.
That's very true.
It might be an unfair example to use, but I don't know. I think those guys, those coaches and administration out there, they know what they're doing. So I'm not going to question anything on my behalf.
I wrestled freestyle in Japan, and my only move was a standing fireman's.
Wait, say that again?
I said I wrestled freestyle in Japan when I started wrestling. This was 5th or 6th grade, and the only move I would try was a fireman's from standing up.
Nice.
It never worked.
Like you lived in Japan?
Yeah. My dad's in the Navy, so.
Oh, okay.
My brother started wrestling over here, and then we moved to Japan, and they switched to freestyle, so I just stayed with him. Any more duels? So we got Minnesota, Oklahoma State. Minnesota wins 19-15. This duel was locked up after Jason Ness won, so Derringer went out there and he could have got a fall and it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the duel. But I think if Minnesota's going to win a national title, Brancal is going to have to be more consistent.
Yeah. He's that's just kind of what he is. The match was close, I think. Klimmer, what did he do? Suck him back and stuck him?
Yeah, it was.
I think that's what I read. I didn't see the duel, so I don't have. I mean, Eddie Klimmer, let's not forget he lost in the tiebreaker to be an All-American last year to Corey Clark. So he is one of the top guys in the country. In round of 12, he beat All-Americans last year, and he's right there. So I don't know if it's necessarily a bad loss. Maybe he just got caught in a position. Brancal, like you said, he did beat Tyler Cox pretty handily, put him on his back a few times. The this year. So yeah, maybe he does have to be consistent. I don't know if he was one of those guys that like he's not a Dardanes or a Dylan Ness. Like
Right.
he's not a top 5 guy, but if he can make it deep in the tournament and score big points for him, it's going to be huge for sure.
Right. Pick up a couple wins here or there and get a couple extra team points. Yeah, that would be huge for them. I think that's what killed them last year, is not having 10 weights that can compete. But, I mean, they were almost there. But so let me grab this and let's see. So we touched on Northern Illinois, Wyoming, Mark Branch having his kids wrestle good, ODU, Purdue, Cornell and NC State, and Mark Gray, not Mark Hall. I have Mark Hall written down. That's why I said it. That's creepy. Iowa State, Minnesota, Oklahoma State, Lehigh, Illinois. Anything else that you think from what we're calling Week 5 topics to touch on?
I got two more.
Right.
Lehigh Northwestern. Lehigh won 30-10. Northwestern did not have a 57 or a 74. So I think those guys, it's Bryce Brill at 57 and Ben Sullivan's been their 74-pounder, and I think he's really a 65. I think their lineup's just really thin. So maybe if those guys are dinged up, they don't want it to escalate into something else when they get into the Big Ten season, and they can maybe afford a loss to a Lehigh and not, Michigan or a Nebraska later in the year. So that's what I could see there. They only have like 20 guys on the roster, though, so they don't have a ton of depth. So maybe they're just playing it safe. And then 197 there, Elliot Riddick from Lehigh beats Alex Polizzi from Northwestern in overtime. And I think both those guys are in the top 10, or at least close. Riddick's had 3 matches this year, though. He's had McIntosh, Bonacorsi, and Polizzi. That's a tough 3 to start off.
Yeah.
And that's the other topic is, did you see Tyler Cox and Max Soria at the Journey?
No.
Okay, 19-17 final in overtime. And Soria gets out to a huge lead, and I'm watching this happen, and the first thought in my head is, I don't know how this is going to affect the rankings. Like that's my first thought, because Soria was like 24 and Cox was 12. And I'm trying to think, okay, how's this going to play out? Because it looks like Soria is just going to like major him. And he was up by like 7 going into the third, and then Cox just starts firing. He takes him down to his back, lets him go, gets taken down, gets out, takes him down, lets him go, inside trips him off the whistle, lets him go, takes him down, and then takes him out in overtime. This is all like in a minute and a half. So props to Tyler Cox. That was a fun match to watch. And then he came back and beat Brandon Jeske with the last-second takedown the very next match. So a little bit of him being a savvy veteran there in his 6th year for the Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah, so make sure you check that out. Do you have Jeske in the top 25?
I had him at 15 or 16. I think he's 1-2 on the year, but he's lost to Alan Waters and Tyler Cox. So he'll probably stay right around there. I don't think he's going to take a dip too far.
Okay. Remind me after talking about wrestling that we maybe cover another segment. If that's it, do you have anything else to touch on?
Nope, I think that's it for me. Thanks for having me on again, and look forward to doing it next week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This has been episode number 6 of the Associated Wrestling College Wrestling Review. He's been JJ Johnson. I've been Eric Bornowski. Make sure you follow both of us on Twitter. JJ, what's your Twitter?
It's not. You did try to do this last time. There's no point. I don't tweet right now.
Okay. All right.
So don't even worry about it.
All right. Well, if you do have a Twitter, make sure you follow Wrestling Press at Wrestling Press. That's the Associated Wrestling Press's college or their Twitter handle. So make sure you do that, and send us any feedback that you have on this episode or any previous episodes. That's been it. Thank you.